Welcome to the World Economic Federation. Today we are going to start talking about the various committee types that govern aspects of the Federation and their voting pools, as well as discuss why the Federation needs to be democratically governed at the outset. Since this is a huge part of understanding how the Federation works, we will give some background and discuss some of the committees. And in the next video, we will focus on the rest of the committees and how the Federation can make capitalism work for the people. To start with the why of it all, we must go back about 40 years and talk about a certain CEO by the name of Jack Welch, who was not only a terrible leader, but also, by all indications, a terrible person. He treated his workers, the people who had dedicated their lives to the companies he took over, like garbage in order to serve the interests of the elite. When older people talk about all the good that capitalism can do that made America great, they are talking about a version of capitalism that Jack Welch, his enablers, and his many worthless CEO copycats today have gone out of their way to destroy. The corporate system that has been destroyed is what we today call welfare capitalism. This is the belief that companies and society are as responsible for the welfare of the employees and citizens as employees and citizens are for the welfare of their companies and nation, a far less one-sided social contract than we have today. In this system, it was often the shareholders who saw the last of the returns. After all the people who actually did something to build up the company, the stakeholders, were taken care of. As we learned during the pandemic, CEOs are not essential workers. What Jack Welch imposed was a new kind of capitalism, shareholder capitalism, where every employee is expendable, and the executive team is given bonuses based on their ability to stifle just participation in the success of the company for the employees in order to pass the profits on to the shareholder class. When you hear a young person talk about capitalism, this is the only capitalism they have ever known, the kind where job elimination — Welch earned the nickname Neutron Jack for eliminating employees while leaving buildings intact like a neutron bomb — and huge CEO bonuses get cheered. When you hear someone say, corporations only have to serve the interest of the shareholders, they are not citing a rule of capitalism, but a rule of specifically shareholder capitalism, which is the governing philosophy of the lazy and entitled. Shareholder capitalism has only appropriated the term capitalism, so when you speak out against it, the knee-jerk assumption for many listeners today is that you are a socialist or a communist. In our view, the historical problems that have been associated with socialism and communism are in fact shared by shareholder capitalism, which is why we find ourselves where we are today. That is the fact that at their core, they are all colonial ideologies. This is because all of them lead to a consolidation of power in the hands of a few unworthy elite, who use their economic control to line their pockets while using state violence to subjugate the working class. Whether you call them party leaders or titans of industry, these people are heads of colonial systems, because each system says, we take what we want, you get what we give you, and if you don't like it, we will send in the troops. In order to have a just system, you cannot have both state violence and economic powers under the sway of a ruling class, because they can and will use that state violence to maintain and consolidate control. One of the many rules of the Federation is that we count on others to maintain the security of the Federation on this planet, and when armed security is required, it is handled, as may be needed at server farms with sensitive information, by local labor. This armed security would not be allowed to engage in any activities against the interests of labor, because it works for labor itself. This is what brings us to the first and most important of the governing committees, which all other committees are structured to support. In our previous videos, we have already covered in greater depth the guild system. This is the underlying voting pool of the labor committees at the various levels. While in most cases the guilds are governed by their own, there are some guilds that by definition have responsibilities that extend well beyond their profession. While the Builders Guild elections are localized by profession, for example, any security-related group answers to the appropriate labor committee that is directly elected by you. Another guild that has greater systemic oversight is the proposed Journalism Guild, that is being built and designed to provide to independent journalists the access and support needed for them to thrive in an environment where their work is supported and accountable to truth. If you want to call out the Federation, we welcome it when you bring receipts. This is a vital part of the oversight structure. The auditors group alone is not enough, but with an independent media having the ear of the auditors to follow up, combined with the Federation policy of transparency so individuals can have privacy, there are multiple ways that you can keep tabs on the Federation to ensure that it maintains your privacy while being obligated to work towards your prosperity. Labor committees of various levels are designed to be democratically elected by those local citizens who are members of the guilds, and guilds that are necessary for the functioning of society. What we call essential workers would all be eligible for the guild basic income as it is built, and the GBI is based on the maintenance and availability of the skill to society, whether you work directly for the Federation or not. Wall Street bankers need not apply for a GBI as they are non-essential. On the other hand, food handlers, truck drivers, farmers, plumbers, waste management, doctors, nurses, paramedics, and many other vitally important members of society are all eligible for a GBI. And you would be encouraged to maintain, if you wish, 2 different GBIs, one for your general skills, the ones that you perhaps use every day, and also your crisis response skills, if you wish to maintain them. Also, even if you are not currently working at a crisis response job, but working a regular day job, if you are forced into quarantine, or to wear a mask, or to get a vaccine, you would qualify for a containment GBI while you do your day job. If a government wants to demand that you wear a mask, that we have no say in. But in a capitalist system, if someone is asked to do something extra, they receive extra compensation. Perhaps supposedly capitalist governments should consider compensating people for doing the things that governments demand. If you maintain practices even outside of a specific crisis, you can continue to maintain your GBI eligibility, as there are always endemic seasonal illnesses that you can help prevent spreading. And you can also get a reduction in insurance costs while you are maintaining those containment practices, at least until the system is mature enough to be single-payer. UBI, GBI, and healthcare, all of that will be under the ranked choice, democratically governed control of the labor committees. In the next video, we will talk about the other committees that will run the Federation and how they will help keep the system focused on improving communities locally and globally. In the meantime, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to help us build a federation for the people, by the people.